There are situations that exist now as we talk about grain and the maize price and such that become quite harmful to the consumer at the end of the day. What do you think's caused it?
Well, we are operating in a free market. In other words, we are allowed to export and import as the market determines. In South Africa, we've produced a surplus of maize, and we were allowed to export the surplus to several countries, as China, a lot went to Mexico. And the thing is that we've exported more than that was available for exportation.
And just recently 150,000 tonnes to Zimbabwe.
Exactly, because they don't have enough maize to when the next harvest in April comes in. Now we're in a situation where down in Cape Town, where all dairy and poultry farmers need to import maize from other countries because we've exported too much.
Well, who's responsible for that? I mean, that seems like mismanagement.
Well, you can call it mismanagement if you want to. I think that government has a role to play in the marketplace. In other words, we've got a responsibility to have affordable food for the nation. Now, in the international market, the price of maize has actually went down by about 30%. But in the South African market, just the last 3 or 4 months, we've had a 40% increase on the maize price. And that is because we've exported. There's a shortage of maize in our country as we sit here.
The price quoted is a forward buying price, isn't it? I mean, for instance, it was 2913 when I looked at it yesterday. Today
Yes.
is 2969.
Yes.
That's an awfully big leap.
Yes, but we've had leaps of 100 rand in the last few weeks because we're in a shortage situation.
Why? But it's almost impossible to understand from a consumer's point of view, how does that kind of situation happen? In other words, we stockpile, and the price is based on the stockpile that we hold, isn't it? Which is between 30 and 45 days.
Yes, but you must understand that once everybody knows that there's a surplus of maize, that means that the surplus makes the price go down because it's supply and demand. Mm-hmm. And when the price goes down, the big international companies come into the country and they buy up that surplus to export to another country, which is not wrong. It's the right thing to do. But we must have certain systems in our economy to protect us from the situation where we export more than we're allowed to export.
Shouldn't there be a situation then, if that's the case, that we should be stockpiling, which you can stockpile maize and grain? You can. Yes. It's quite easy to store it.
Yes.
Shouldn't we say only a percentage of that store can be sold?
Yes, that is the typical kind of situation that we must have. We must be very careful to not interfere with the free market, but we've got an obligation and responsibility to control the stocks available for the consumers of our country.
Well, can you explain to me then, and I know this is a ticklish point for farmers, why is it there are different maize prices in different parts of the country?
Well,
why isn't there just one maize price?
No, that's impossible. Because the maize production is in one area in the country, that is the northern part of the country. And if you want to consume maize down in the Western Cape, it's 1,500 kilometers away from the marketplace. And somebody needs to pay that transport. So that's why you'll always have a bigger price down in Cape Town than you'll have up in the production area.
If you were to be in a position to put into place a system, what kind of a system would you put in place that would make it free and fair?
Well, I would be careful not interfering with the market as it is, but I would be interfering with the management of how we manage our stock available in this country. In other words, if we talk about importing and exporting, I think there's a role to be played in. I would do something as to say, let's ring fence the tonnage that is available for export, and then let the world market come in and buy it for the price that they want it. But once they've bought the available tonnage, then we must say, listen here, but there's not enough available, or not more enough available for exporting. We've got an obligation against neighboring countries such as Zimbabwe to supply them with maize because they don't have enough, and we need to keep that into mind when we open our gates and say let's the maize roll out of our harbours.
Yes, because if we don't, as I said to your brother as well, if you do not supply Zimbabwe, they'll come and eat it over the border anyway.
Exactly. It's a neighbouring country of ours. It's the humane thing to do.
Yes.
Is to manage your own economy for them to have it available to come and buy it when they need it.
Before we started this conversation, you said you had a few statements you would have liked to have made. Have we covered most of those, or have you still got one or two items you'd like to put forward?
Well, the things that I want to discuss is more in correlation with what is going on in the local wheat market, if I may. As you know, we've got a future market in our country that is situated in, or the place that they call it is Randfontein. That is where they say the marketplace is.
The centre.
That's the centre. Of our
everything
market,
is based in the farming community around Randfontein, up outside Gauteng.
All prices.
It's between the Free State and Gauteng.
Yes, but determined as if in Randfontein. For instance, if you see the wheat price is on 3,000 rand, there is they've got location differentials in place. Say for instance it's 500 rand, and they subtract 500 rand from that price. In other words, me, the producer in Cape Town, are getting 2,500 rand a ton for my wheat because it needs to be transported to the market in Randfontein.
Here we go. Transport being the devil.
Exactly. Yes.
And this can't come right until we've got rail transport back again.
Yeah. Well, that is a whole different problem that we've got in our economy. But my problem is that the Western Cape produces 60% of the total production of the country's wheat. Of that wheat that we produce, only 30 to 40% gets transported to the northern parts of the country. But all of the tonnage that is produced here is bought on the basis that it gets transported, which it doesn't get. 60% of that wheat stays down in Cape Town, it gets milled here, and it changes into bread and whatever.
Now the stock exchange is involved here, isn't it? Because it sells futures as such on the future price, predicted price.
Yes.
Now, if that's the case, then the stock exchange is the devil as well.
No, the stock exchange is not the devil yet. The stock exchange owns the future market, and that is a very good thing that we have in South Africa, because that connects us with the world market. But the problem is that there's a physical market and there's a futures market, and the role players in the physical market exploits the future market to determine the producer's price.
So the rich make money out of determining what by fixing and I use the word fixing.
You use the word fixing. I'm sorry, I don't agree with fixing. It's again.
I don't agree with it either, but that's virtually what's going on.
Yeah, but I think we must be careful to say that
Well,
somebody fixed their market.
I'm not saying it's a crooked fix, but it is an established fix by certain people with an invested interest, which is not necessarily in the good for the consumer.
No, it's not.
It's not at all.
No.
So therefore, it's a fixed situation.
It may be, yes. The thing that my problem is that the physical market is exploiting the futures market to make the price of the farmer, and I think we need to do something quickly to get the physical market to operate on its own and not misusing the futures market. And I think that the stock exchange has a role to play there. They've got a responsibility towards the whole economy to do something about it. And my opinion is that currently they're only managing the situation so that it will fit what they want to do.
What would you like them to do?
Well, I think the first thing is, and our producer organization have applied went to the stock exchange and they've asked them, and we've explained to them why, is to get rid of the location differential system.
Are we talking about Grain SA?
Yes, Grain SA has got an open discussion room where they can discuss all problems that we do have and that was discussed there, but the JSE on the board discussed it, and they decided not to let go of the differentials.
Why do you think that was?
Well, as I explained to you, they manage the future contract, and the moment they do something that might be negative to the volumes that they trade on the future contract, they won't do it, because they're in it for the money that they can make.
So here we sit with the money guys. Their interest is to make money, but it's not necessarily in the interest of the public or the farmers.
Yes, that is exactly true what you're saying.
Then that's perverse.
It might be. I've mentioned earlier that all of us has got a responsibility towards the whole economy, but that is if that is not, we can't force role players in the economy to be responsible to the whole economy.
I mean, this is your opinion as a private farmer. It's not necessarily the opinion of anybody at all towards the stock exchange.
No.
But obviously, as a farmer with great experience in the market, you're worried that this is causing a great deal of anguish and problem in the marketplace.
Well, the fact is that we've got our production ability is deteriorating, and that is what is worrying for me. And I feel that the organisation like the stock exchange do have the obligation to do something about that, because they are in a situation where they can make a difference, and they're not doing it, and that is what I do have a problem with. Let me just make one thing very clear. In our country, in our economy, we need the stock exchange, and even we as wheat farmers need the future market to be operated and to be successful. And I'm not saying that I don't want them to be part of our economy. That's totally not what I'm saying. I just want them to come to the party and help us as producers to make small changes so that we can have a fair price for our products. And it might even be that some of the consumers might be, there might be an advantage for the consumers as well. We don't know what's going to happen. But what it will definitely do is it will definitely increase production in our country.
Definitely.
Definitely. If we can get the physical market to operate a part of the future market, and to get and we need location difference to be taken away for that to happen. I don't see it anything else. I'm not a market specialist or economist. This is me as a wheat producer. That's my opinion.
But I would say that probably 99% of the public, the farming community, don't even understand this or know it.
No. You've mentioned, but I'm sorry to say it, but a lot of our producers don't even understand exactly how it works.